Alright guys, today we're working on the old GM truck again. We're having some issues with charging system codes. The alternator seems to be working. Oh, and the battery also checks out. In these trucks, they also have this regulator voltage module that basically kind of monitors how much voltage is coming to the battery. Since everything checks out, I'm thinking the culprit is this. I've seen one video talking about how they were getting messages. They had already changed their alternator, even put a new battery, and they were still getting those codes. And not gonna sit here and say that the alternator still can't be the culprit, but this is the cheaper part of the two to change. I'm going to change this out, see how that works. And if that doesn't work, then I'm gonna go ahead and replace that alternator. In this case, either way, both parts are almost 20 years old. So I've not seen any videos on how to take this part off. Obviously, you are going to unplug it here, take the little zip ties and cut them off. The part itself slides onto the cable, and that's where you hook up. But as you can see, it's a closed loop, so you have to get the cable through. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get this cable to go through there. We're fixing to find out. If not, we're going to try to at the other end, which is down by the engine block, and see if that end maybe goes through. That's why I wanted to make the video, because I've only seen actually one video talking about this little module, and no videos whatsoever talking about how to remove it. All right, for starters, guys, I thought I had to remove this part right here. Looking at the new part, it looks like the whole piece comes off as one. So I started wiggling it out here, and sure enough, it's a one piece. Next, we're going to carefully cut the zip tie without hitting any wires. There we go. And the piece essentially is loose other than this tape. So let me remove this tape, and we'll move on to the next step. And you can see now it's free floating. Let's give this a try. This should slide off. And let's see if it'll fit. Simple as that. Oh man, well, this does not actually fit. The wire, not too bad to get to, but not easy either. Goes down below and attaches down there. And then you have to also remove this ground wire down at the bottom so that you can run it out the other end. Now, I'm not 100% sure if the other end would be small enough to go through, but it does appear to be. Okay guys, so on the driver's side, right by your fog light area, you'll see your brace right here for your body mount. Right in front, right there, cable that goes right here over this mount up to the battery. That's that small ground wire. So you'll undo this bolt right here from this side. Right there. Again, that's on the driver's side. Now, I did find it actually a lot easier to get the wrench from on top and then work at it from the bottom. Go around the back side of it and up. You can then put your hand on the wrench. Right, I left it on there. I don't know if you can see. Right there, there's a bolt. That's the bolt that holds that main wire. We'll take that off, and then it should hopefully allow us to take that piece off. Not as bad as it sounds. So again, we're going to come in from the back side and reach for that wrench. There we go. And right now I've got it loose, and I can, man, it's a tough spot to try to get y'all to see, but I got the wire. There are two ground wires there, just so y'all know. Gotta keep tabs on that. Let me put the bolt back so I don't lose it. So when you put it back together, make sure you put both grounds or both wires back on. Anyway, let's get back on top. Let's see here. Should be loose. So it was actually easier than I thought. So no need to No need to panic. Let's see if it'll fit on the other end. So this is taped. I wonder if we can just get it through the loom. Let me put it all back. There we go. There's that one wire. Oh, we almost got this. Bam! Gotta clean this up too. Make sure it makes good contact. So we got that main ground wire through. And just remember the little lip, this little lip section goes in towards the ground ring. Then start feeding the other wire. Huh? Yeah, thank you. My little helper here doing great. Huh? Awesome.
Happy.
Yeah.
Huh?
You're doing so good. Little snug here where the tape is. Has heat shield there, so you don't really want to take that off if you can help it. And we're back to where we began. So we're going to run the wire back and attach it, and then we'll zip tie this back together. As you saw, it's a pretty tight area to film on how I'm going to reattach that wire, but at least you now have an idea of how to reach it. All right, guys, I managed to tighten that bolt down there. I've got the small ground wire back to the front of the truck where the body mount is. I've re-zip tied right where it was, attached this. All I've got to do is tape this like it was, just for the sake of nice and neatness, keeping it all like it was. We're going to hook it all back up. So we're still having erratic behavior from the electrical system. It's fluctuating way more than it normally does. It's constantly just going back and forth. So we're going to change out the alternator. Pretty simple task. So far we took the one little bolt that was here. We pried on this back side out and pushed it out. You can see how that works. Now the alternator's all disconnected other than the belt and the two bolts up front. And as I'm working, I got a little helper. Got to stop and entertain. You got your gloves on so you can work?
Yeah.
You gonna help me?
Yes.
Yeah, so far she's got all the little tools spread out for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh, I see another tool right there. Awesome, you got them all ready for me.
Yes.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. So pay attention to the way the belt is routed. In this case, I've already took it off from underneath this pulley and over the alternator. And you do that by putting it on this backside pulley. And when you push down like this, that's like a little automatic pulley system that actually tightens up automatically. When you push it down, it loosens the belt. So we got the belt off. Now we're taking those two bolts off. And if you notice, right there, this metal piece right there, you're gonna have to slide it in. I'll show you how in a minute. Some people may be tempted to hammer on that. That could be an expensive issue if you break that ear. Don't want to do that. You also want to disconnect your battery. Now once you get the bolts off, again, they're under pressure from those little ears there and where the bolts were. You want to kind of leverage it out. You can see how it's coming out, and just be gentle with it and work it out. And just like that, we pried it gently up here, then pried it on the other end and just wiggled it out. Got it out of these little ears. Now, again, this is the part I talked about earlier. Some may want to hammer it. If you break this, you just bought yourself an expensive repair. You want to press these out just a little bit. I'll show you how. By the way, here's the alternator. Again, one bolt, one hookup, and two bolts on bottom. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. This little bolt that I had laying around with a washer is going to push this little piece inwards when it goes through the socket as this tightens it. and the socket is big enough to get that little earpiece to go in. So let's get that done. All right, after a couple turns, you can see how that is pushed in compared to that one. Would allow your new alternator to slide right in. And there's the final product, guys. Everything's back installed. Running good. Hopefully no more problems. Well guys, the electrical gremlins continue. I've changed the regulator. I've changed the alternator. And now my battery went dead. It could have been coincidence. It has been very, very cold, dropped into the 30s a couple of nights, and my truck doesn't move a whole lot. But it also could have been that over time the battery was either getting undercharged or overcharged because the codes have been going on for a little while. So hopefully we're done with this mess after this. I wanted to show you, if you've never done a battery on one of these trucks, it's pretty easy. It's happened, might as well include it. Of course, I've been running the truck off and on for about a week since I did the alternator. So anyway, changing it now. Let me show you what I'm doing. I've already took it out, by the way. Once you disconnect the battery, which is on the, in this case, their side terminals, side posts, you have to take this little bar. It's just one little bolt there and one here. Take that out, no big deal. That allows for the battery to come up. Now you won't be able to take the battery out quite yet. There's a tray down here where the battery goes. You'll see a little hole there. Right there is where this little wedge, let me show you. This little wedge goes in there. A little bolt in that hole. Like so, towards the battery, keeping it from bouncing around and moving. And that's all there is to it. So if you take that little bar above and you're trying to take the battery out and it doesn't seem to come out, that's why. In this particular truck, you have the terminals on the side, the posts. You will, I know it sounds obvious, but some people may not know, you'll have to take these little plastic tabs off and then connect everything back the way you took it off. All right, guys, so there's the wedge installed there at the bottom. I actually put in maybe a couple of threads and put the wedge in. And then as I worked the battery in, I dropped it and then kind of wedged it in. That way I wouldn't have to try to install that little wedge with the battery already in place. It would make it really difficult. Now we're just gonna plug in the wires and then we'll have a new alternator, new regulator, control module, new battery. I've checked the grounds. We should be good. Cranking and charging the way it should. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Y'all like and subscribe.